The headlines. There is no hope but marginalization of small communities and small states in present system, says former UNLF chairman R.K. Kanhayakumar. Governor Laganation appeals to people of the state to avoid any kind of violent activities to ensure conduct of free and fair election. And polling stations in Imphal East District declared as no smoking tobacco-free zone. And Prime Minister Modi spoke a bundle of lies during his recent visit to Imphal, says Dr. Kanhayakumar. Hello and good evening. Welcome to Mami TV English News Bulletin. I'm KABITA TONGBRAM. Former chairman of United National Liberation Front UNLF, R.K. Kanhayakumar, has asserted that there is no hope but only marginalization of small communities and small states in present system. Terming the present system as total failure, he contended that election, which is the essence of democracy, has become an undemocratic process which leads to disintegration of people of the hills and valley and even the family members. R.K. Kanhayakumar was speaking to media persons on the sidelines of a book release function at Singzamai Makhakongnang today. He further said different political parties are canvassing intensely for the 12 state legislative assembly elections. The parties have released their election manifestos with different promises. However, no point on improvement of lifestyle of the people and equal development of the hills and the valley are mentioned in any of the manifestos. Kanhayakumar said, stating that people are living in turmoil in the present system. He added that the election process in India has become undemocratic. The process also reflects disintegration of the society and poses a threat to unity. R.K. Kanhayakumar also expressed the need for the youth to ponder on the present situation to lead the society to a better path.
I mean, housing level system is that I quite a pick per fruit, a pick per lay park, machine jam dava. The parks that I quite social like perfume ratana prospects would the hiding it. How you make a yam langy manifesto my amp put home me at the flag hoisting don't know what I'm the Wakalom Yam from Done. Adu Nasi a queen a hanging open sea. A quick sing to improve some yam hanging open sea. Asiga samnava wakalon dikia top tengna de ude ngasi aina mamang na sufung dokiwa election India election as such masi India the hongai political situation asina maram oiraga election kudingi the largest democracy in the world election as a democracy election oiraktaba democracy is undemocratic or a fisher Mayama go tenere in the telepacta toibo tolo toxing democracy undermined over Mapanga Sontan of Tolong Actanavo Modosia Hisangi. Assume a system in Maka sister, Manung sister. Quite more from the I quit a big proof charging she Carmine Hingedegi Carmine survived over the Sinel. At the Masi system, a sea. Manung da kaya yam na kwe ning sa si ning tam na hondo kaya kwe hingwang am dagese acho wahang niyan kale election as such election mikla sinadi akwe kuna se machet tal singa tam ko machet tal imang chpongdo kreko imu manung da su mapa masa mama sa loin to kai tal machet tal whereas akwe dinga si masau tal si punsin ba do nevo akwe Lepasi kuna si hingna ba koi myam punsin ba dune ba khena ba mayam tungoi na raga ngasi koi kamai hingi tungde kari or pa yai tungda orpuya bado thengna na ba ekhoi sem samin na bagi wakhal chungsin na bagi kok chungsin na bagi punni lebin na bagi matam na ba whereas punna lebin na ba mathok ta ba matam sesda oi film di ekhoi mache ta thuai ko do na kayam ko na ko smai hingi ta ga so hangsi de masima mang soi hangi hauri ba generation ma si khan ga da wafam mo oi kana karam kamen pinare kamai to de ba means to photo pere di hai ra adu mayam khare han wa khan ta ki ba changi no ma isoi ma si lambi so isoi no mayam phung to khine.
Responding to queries of media persons on the downfall of regional parties in the state, he said that it is because of the lack of concept of regional parties among the people. Besides, the concept of regional party is not properly defined in Indian system, and as such, candidates focus on contesting the elections on national party ticket to become ministers, Kanhayakumar said. He further expressed the need for people to learn that they can serve the society without contesting elections too, stating that the legislatures have no objective to work for the society as the system is a failure. He asserted that the society can be brought to the right path when youth start to work for the welfare of the society.
India system is regional party hierarchy. Regional party responsibilities make defined doctor. Just vote lepa MLA one number minister one number them chat survive the reva. Pasha sangi muscle power sangi. For example, Manipur People's Party. India ki manungda system manungda yam quite ariba regional party mane. I masi regional party concept say share downing there. Manipur ki party is Manipur party avoid down regional party hai ta avoid the region seeking a sim northeast India khangri se sigi mayam se mai magi CST ki party do mo so called national party na taba mayam the upon forum laga the regional party hai Manipur party avoid down al masida madu conceptual clarity like taba ko adun maram oraga India ki politics the survive to target pasha sangi adu vote home la karaga Mantrio Pangjabam, MLA to the my constitution, the major of the reject on the level. I same was Arbangam did. Other regadi, Tory question the so called regional party. I don't know do it have say. Vote lepa MLA or Mantrio Kakmatavada. Vote Kadrasu, Togo Tabacto, defined on Sanga. I the Lepak Miami Tabacto, I say, MLA with Rasu Mantrio, Yay, example, Peter would presang. Adum ba musing wakal khan ba nahasing thora gadi madugi makai gidi improvement kar bo jay khan.
The book entitled Pandub, written by Waikoma Mucho Maite, was released at Toyaima Mandap at Singzamai Makar Kongnang Pedekpi. Former UNLF Chairman R.K. Kanhayakumar, the President of Naharol Sahitya Premi Samiti, L. Upendro, and senior journalist Manidra Gonsam were the chief guests, President and guest of House respectively at the release function organized by Apunba Korirolgi Malengilup, while writer and critic El Memo introduced the book. In the wake of the rising election-related violent incidents in the state, Governor La Ganeshan has appealed to the people in all the districts of the state to avoid any kind of violent activities so as to enable the people to exercise their franchise freely and fairly. In a press release issued by the Raj Bhavan today, the governor stated that he is in favor of the election process passing off smoothly and peacefully without any untoward incident. In order to enable the general public to participate in the very important democratic process and exercise their right of franchise freely and fairly, avoiding any type of violent act is indispensable at this critical juncture, the governor stated, expressing hope that every organization will cooperate in the democratic process of the state. The governor further appealed to all the citizens to exercise their democratic franchise freely and without fear, as this right will determine the destiny of Dan public in the coming 5 years. District Election Officer Imphal East Kumanthem Diana has declared that all the polling stations in the district as no smoking and tobacco-free zones. The DEO in an order stated that the restriction has been imposed under Section 4 of the Cigarettes and Other Tobacco Products Act 2003. As per the order, no smoking area poster issued by the CEO of Manipur should be put up at every polling station. Teams of Imphal East and Imphal West Police, led by Superintendent of Police, will impose fine on those who defy the order, it added. Dr. Kanhayakumar, a well-known young politician and former student activist from Bihar, who is presently a member of the Indian National Congress today, held a special interaction program with youths of the state at the GM Hall in Imphal today. The program was organized by the Manipur Pradesh Youth Congress. Speaking on the occasion, Dr. Kanhayakumar said Prime Minister of India Narendra Modi and his cabinet ministers are busy campaigning for the party in the elections to the 5 state assemblies. There are more than 20,000 Indian students pursuing different courses in Ukraine. Russia has invaded Ukraine, but as the Prime Minister and his ministers are busy campaigning for BJP, they did not make any arrangement to evacuate the Indian students to safety, he said. The Prime Minister has not addressed any press conference. Whatever press conference that he spoke at was not press conference in the real sense of the term. It was all scripted dialogue, he said. He said Prime Minister Modi had lied to the people of Manipur in his speech during his recent visit to Imphal, saying that 3 lakh households have been provided pipe water. The pipe might have reached but not water, Kanhayakumar said. The Prime Minister spoke series of untruth during his speech, he said.
Prime Minister का भाषण सुना होगा when he was in Manipur. So what he had been claiming, or what the ruling class, the people from the government, what they have been claiming. उनका सबसे बड़ा क्लेम ये था कि पहले मणिपुर में 25,000 घरों में पाइप से पानी पहुंचता था. In 5 years उन्होंने 3 लाख घरों में पाइप से पानी पहुंचा दिया है. So I always try to check it. I know he is a liar. He is a liar. He is the biggest liar. कि what about the claim done by the Prime Minister कि 3 लाख घरों में पाइप पहुंचा दिया है. पाइप पहुंचा है, पानी नहीं पहुंचा है.
NPF Jiribam, under the directive of NPF Manipur State Office, has expelled Vice President of NPF Jiribam Rema Mar and representative to MP Atui from the party for violation of the decision of the party to support BJP candidate of Jiribam Assembly constituency and Buddha Chandra. Addressing media persons at a press meet held in this regard at NPF office at Vidyanagar in Jiribam district, the President of NPF Manipur State, Pausing Kamai, appealed to all the candidates in the constituency to shun communalism and lead the constituency to the right party to usher in peace and unity. He maintained that the candidate who plays communal card for development of just a particular community can never bring peace and development in the constituency. Pausing also added that NPF is supporting the BJP candidate in the constituency, as NPF believes that the candidate will work for the welfare of all the communities to bring peace in the constituency.
NPF tagi expel tore haina President Jiri District ki oina aihagna lauthok chari makhoi bu Manipur State concern gi NPF ki office ki directive matungena makhoi bu expel tore haina President mak samang lauthok chari.
Member of Analon Chiefs Association Alka and Chief of Chandal Kulel Yumas Pashel also appealed to the people of Manipur to ensure conduct of free and fair elections to the 12th Manipur Legislative Assembly. Speaking to media persons after attending a meeting of Alka at Chandal Kulen Community Hall, Yumas expressed condemnation over the appointment of President of Alka by Anal Naga Thangpi Anta on February 17. He maintained that Alka is entitled to choose its own president and Anta is not responsible for the same. He also condemned the directive issued by Anta on February 22 that asked all the village chiefs, pastors and leaders of Anal who do not support NPF candidate in Chandal Assembly constituency to resign from their respective posts, stating that election is a democratic process and everyone must be allowed to exercise their franchise freely and fairly. You must maintain that ENTA cannot decide who will be the representative of the people. He also stated that the move of ENTA will create disunity among different villages in the constituency. You must further want to raise no confidence motion against the president of ALCA if ENTA fails to revoke its decision by February 26 and not to extend cooperation in any activity of ENTA, and maintain that ENTA must be held responsible for any consequences.
NPF the vote P Drabadi, day 27 Manungda Pam, Kolakpa Amasung Passer, Pam Thado Habisi Laibak Tibani, President Giva Pam say, date 26 ki Manungda Handuk Drabadi, date 27 the Gihona, Alka Akoina, Anta Presembu, Saugalero Haina, Alka Gining Tausing the Warip Lore.
Now let's take a short commercial break. We'll be right back.
Habak lakama layanaba incentives amadi subsidized homestay tauribasingda Mangjil thaba Manipur Nipal tangdaba Manipur BJP ka loinana Thambal gi markada namlasi BJP bu mai pahalasi Modi ji gi thambal.
Welcome back. India recorded 13,166 new COVID-19 cases with 302 deaths in the last 24 hours. With this, the total tally of COVID-19 cases surged to 4.28 crore and the active cases declined to 1.34 lakh according to the Union Health Ministry data. Meanwhile, 26,988 patients have recovered in the last 24 hours. That led the cumulative tally of recovered patients to 4.22 crore and the death toll also climbed to 5.13 lakh. Consequently, the active cases comprise 0.31% of the total infections, while the national COVID-19 recovery rate has further improved to 98.49%, the ministry said. Further, the number of people who have recuperated from the disease surged to 4.22 crore, while the case fatality rate was recorded as 1.20%. On the other hand, with the administration of more than 32.04 lakh vaccine doses in the last 24 hours, India's COVID-19 vaccination coverage has exceeded 176.86 crore across the country. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate the post-union budget webinar of the Union Ministry of Health and Family Welfare at 10 a.m. on Saturday. 3 thematic sessions will be held from 10:45 hours to 13:50 hours in the topics of Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission, E-Sanjeevani and Telemental Health Program. According to the Union Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, the objective of the webinar is to involve the stakeholders in taking forward the various initiatives of the government in the health sector. The Prime Minister's address will set the tone for the post-budget webinars. The webinar will have panel discussions with eminent speakers and experts from the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Niti Aayog, industry fora, startups, academia, etc., along with interactive sessions with stakeholders. The valedictory session will be jointly chaired by Union Minister of Health and Family Welfare, Dr. Mansukh Mandivia, and Union Ayush Minister, Sri Sarvananda Sonowal. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar on Thursday night spoke to his counterparts from Romania, Hungary and Slovakia on the evacuation of stranded Indians from Ukraine. Jaishankar also held a telephonic conversation with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov on the Ukraine crisis and underlined that dialogue and diplomacy are the best way forward to defuse the situation. As Ukraine closed its airspace following the Russian military assault, India is focusing on evacuating around 16,000 Indians from Ukraine through its land border crossings with Romania, Hungary, Slovak Republic and Poland. He also said that Hungarian Foreign Minister Peter Szijjártó promised full cooperation to facilitate the evacuation of Indians. The External Affairs Minister also appreciated the willingness of his Slovak counterpart to help in facilitating the evacuation of Indian nationals to Slovakia. On the other hand, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also thanked Vladimir Putin for the clarification and asked for assistance in ensuring the security of Indian citizens who currently stay in Ukraine. President of Russia said that the necessary instructions would also be given, said the Russian embassy on Thursday. Russia has launched a full-scale military attack on Ukraine that opened with air and missile attacks on Ukrainian military facilities before troops and tanks rolled across the borders from the north, east and south. The Ukrainian military has fought back on multiple fronts. President Volodymyr Zelensky said in a video address early today that 137 people, both servicemen and civilians, have been killed and hundreds more wounded. A senior United States defense official said Russia may be intent on seizing Kiev, the capital, and other key cities, ultimately installing a more friendly government. As Ukrainian forces fought back and civilians piled into trains and cars to flee, the US and European leaders rushed to punish Russia with strong financial sanctions. NATO also moved to strengthen its eastern flank. In a televised address as the attack began, Russian President Vladimir Putin said it was needed to protect civilians in eastern Ukraine, where Ukrainian forces and Russia-backed separatists have been fighting for almost 8 years. Meanwhile, the Russian leader had warned other countries that any attempt to interfere in Ukraine would lead to consequences you have never seen in history. Putin also accused the US and its allies of ignoring Russia's demands to block Ukraine from ever joining NATO and offer Moscow security guarantees. Now, before we wind up, let's have a quick look at the top stories once again. There is no hope but marginalization of small communities and small states in present system, says former UNLF chairman Kanhayakumar. Governor La Ganeshan appeals to people of the state to avoid any kind of violent activities to ensure conduct of free and fair election. All polling stations in Imphal district declared as no smoking tobacco-free zone. And Prime Minister Modi spoke bundle of lies during his recent visit to Imphal, says Dr. Kanhayakumar. That brings us to the end of today's English News Bulletin. Keep watching Mami TV for latest news updates. Thanks for watching.
Congress the vote TV, Nupida Shakti Pirasi.
The real strength of this state, the women of Manipur. The Congress party created a unique market, an instrument for empowering the women. We built IMA market. We are committed to building many more IMA markets. Our biggest commitment is to guarantee 1/3 reservation for women. I want to help preserve your language. I want to help preserve your culture. I want to help preserve the harmony that is prevailing in Manipur.